Joining us now from the campaign trail right here in the Palmetto State, 2016 Republican presidential candidate, Senator Ted Cruz. Senator, good to see you.
Sean, always good to be with you.
All right, let's start with the polls. We got the Real Clear Politics average. You're up to 20 points in two separate polls. Your average is at 17. You have a pretty strong lead for second place. The numbers look a little bit like New Hampshire. How do you get the numbers to where you want them to be in Iowa as you move forward?
Well, listen, I'm very encouraged because we're seeing happening here in South Carolina what we saw happen in Iowa. We're seeing conservatives uniting and coming together behind our campaign. And as we go into the last week, South Carolinians are looking closely at the candidates, and I think the debate Saturday had a powerful impact on this race. I think there are really two things that are very significant for South Carolinians. The first is the passing of Justice. The first is the passing of Justice Scalia, and that really underscores the stakes of this election. That the Supreme Court hangs in the balance, our constitutional rights hang in the balance, and I think South Carolinians are looking to elect a president who they can trust, who they know will put as their top priority defending the Constitution and defending the Bill of Rights, because we risk losing our basic constitutional rights. With one more liberal justice on the court, we would have a 5-justice left-wing majority that would undermine our constitutional rights for a generation.
Let me go to Senator Chuck Schumer. At a very different position, 18 months left in George W. Bush's presidency, he said no more Supreme Court appointments. Let's compare to what he said then to what he's saying now and get your response.
The job, first and foremost, is for the president to nominate and for the Senate to hold hearings and go through the process. You know, the Constitution, Ted Cruz holds the Constitution when he walks through the halls of Congress. Let him show me the clause that says the president's only president for 3 years. To leave the Supreme Court vacant for 300 days in a divided time, this kind of obstructionism isn't going to last. And, you know, we Democrats didn't do this.
We should not confirm any Bush nominee to the Supreme Court except in extraordinary circumstances. They must prove by actions, not words, that they are in the mainstream, rather than we have to prove that they are not.
Do you suspect that your party will hold the line on this very important issue? Because I'd like to believe they would.
Well, I certainly hope so. You know, no one should be surprised to see Chuck Schumer and the Democrats being hypocritical. That has been their pattern. But it has been 80 years since the Senate has confirmed a Supreme Court justice nominated during an election year. And we shouldn't suddenly start now. The court is exquisitely divided. Justice Scalia was a lion of the court of the Constitution. He's someone I knew for 20 years, and he was an extraordinary jurist. And the entire balance of power on the court hangs in the balance here. I believe we should make 2016 a referendum on the U.S. Supreme Court. Let the voters decide. If the Democrats want to fill this vacancy, they need to win in November. And I'll tell you, Sean, I cannot wait to stand on that debate stage with Hillary Clinton or with Bernie Sanders and to debate before the American people what vision of the court they want, because under Hillary or Bernie, we will have a court that will effectively read the Second Amendment out of the Bill of Rights, take away our individual right to keep and bear arms. We'll have a court that would mandate abortion on demand with no limitations whatsoever nationwide. We would have a court that would mandate tearing down our religious liberty and restricting our ability to worship God Almighty, protected under the First Amendment. I don't think that's what the American people want, and I also believe that issue has become front and center in the Republican primary, that as South Carolinians are looking at the candidates. I think Justice Scalia's passing puts a lot of attention on Donald Trump, on the fact that he cannot be trusted to nominate conservatives to the court, given that for 60 years of his life, he described himself as very pro-choice in every respect, as supporting partial birth abortion. And given that, over 4 decades, he donated to Jimmy Carter and supported Jimmy Carter against Ronald Reagan. He supported Hillary Clinton. He supported John Kerry. He supported Chuck Schumer. He supported Harry Reid. Anyone who contributes to all of those left-wing politicians does not care about having conservative Supreme Court justices on the court because every one of those fought tooth and nail against it. And if we elect a president, either a Democrat or a Republican, that doesn't have a commitment to defending the Constitution, the result is going to be the Bill of Rights badly damaged and the Second Amendment effectively written out of the Constitution.
I agree this is a critical issue, and that's why I am of the belief, like we haven't done in 80 years, we shouldn't do now in an election year. This has gotten very heated. I watched Saturday night's debate. Both Senator Rubio and Donald Trump out there attacking you. I'm going to play that, even Donald Trump threatening to sue you, and get your reaction to what they've said.
Look, this is a disturbing pattern now, because for a number of weeks now, Ted Cruz has just been telling lies. Right. He lied about Ben Carson in Iowa. He lies about Planned Parenthood. He lies about marriage. He's lying about all sorts of things, and now he makes things up.
You are the single biggest liar. All right. This guy lied. Let me just tell you, this guy lied about Ben Carson when he took votes away from Ben Carson in Iowa, and he just continues. He'll apologize, but I don't want an apology after the election. I want the apology before. And if he doesn't, I'm going to bring a lawsuit because, in my opinion, based on what I've learned over the last 2-3 days from very top lawyers, he doesn't even have the right to serve as president or even run as president. He was born in Canada. So I will bring that lawsuit if he doesn't apologize.
All right, Senator, look, South Carolina is known for being the part of the campaign where it gets very harsh. But I think it's fair to give you an opportunity to respond.
Well, listen, Sean, it really is remarkable, and it's quite odd that both Marco Rubio and Donald Trump respond the same way, which is that when anyone points to their actual records, they get very upset and begin screaming, liar, 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 and that's just a very odd thing. So, for example, with Marco, the statement that I made, as I said on immigration, Marco's position right now is he supports a pathway to citizenship for the 12 million people who are here illegally. That is a fact. It's a fact that he said 2-3 debates ago on the debate stage. It's a fact he told Chuck Todd that he supported granting citizenship to illegals even if they had committed crimes. Now, that's a fact he may not like. He wants to run away from it, but he's caught on video saying it. Likewise, I pointed out that in Florida, as Speaker of the House, he supported giving in-state tuition to illegal aliens. That's a fact in his record. And finally, I pointed out that he went on Univision, and in Spanish, he promised that he would not, on the first day in office, rescind President Obama's illegal executive action. That, again, is a fact. All three of those are his record and on video, and for some reason, I think his team has said, if anyone points out your record, just scream liar, 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 and attack. Now, I don't intend to respond in kind. I'm not going to insult Marco or Donald or anyone else, but it is a very odd thing when they're arguing with their own record. And, you know, Donald did the same thing. I pointed out Donald's record of being pro-choice for 60 years, of supporting partial birth abortion. And I pointed out that Donald, even today, supports taxpayer funding for Planned Parenthood. And Donald, just like Marco, began screaming, liar, liar. And he said, when did I ever say that? And I said, well, when we were debating defunding Planned Parenthood, you talked about how wonderful Planned Parenthood was. And then you recall, Sean, it was really quite bizarre. Donald began saying, that's right, he thinks Planned Parenthood is wonderful, it's terrific. That was the thing he just called me a liar on. And it's a very odd strategy of trying to hide your record from the voters and just screaming insults and screaming liars. But the good thing is the people of South Carolina will get to the bottom of the truth, and they're looking to records. That's why they're uniting behind our campaign.
All right, Senator Ted Cruz, always good to have you. Appreciate it.